Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm thrilled that I get to share with you something that is difficult to pull off for sharing when you are normally, if you're able to get out at a bookstore. And this is why, in honor of the community poetry reading event at Recycled Reads, I am honored to be able to share with you a few poems, as I often would on the first Wednesday of every month. I'm sorry, Tom Woodruff, that's still not going on, but in honor of your open mic, I'm reading things from newly released collection books from Scars Publications during this time period. The first thing I was going to read to you is a big batch of poems, big batch of poems from the cc&d January to April 2022 issue collection book that is titled Unfinished Business. Confluence, Pennsylvania, I think, is where this cover is from, and it continued on to a wooden stake, and it was a really cool scene, and I thought it was appropriate. And I hope you guys enjoy some of these poems I'm going to share with you. This first one that I'd like to share with you is a poem that's titled Know What Planet She's From, and it was actually written on the 25th of March, on the anniversary of the discovery of Saturn's moon Titan. So you'll get your science reference as well, and your astronomy, yay! Know what planet she's from. On this date in 1655, Christian Huygens discovered a satellite around the planet Saturn. That is what we now know of as the moon Titan, discovered today by this lone Dutchman. Also, back then in 20015, a Dutch girl had discovered the intricacies of the Taj Mahal in India with a friend and a tour guide. As she circled around and walked ahead, and when the tour guide saw her Saturn car logo on her backpack purse, the tour guide then said, "At least we know what planet she's from." And when the Dutch girl thinks of this still, she laughs about it to this day. I've always loved astronomy, so years ago when I bought my first car, I researched it. I chose the Saturn, and then in its second year of production, I deduced the make, the model, the color, but went to the dealership, made my choice, all without even going for a test drive. Because when you love astronomy as I do, you don't haggle. You know this giant will give you everything you need as long as you want it. That's how the universe works. Everything will be in order, making perfect sense. So after when stopped on the road in my Saturn, was hit by 2 cars and almost killed, respirators kept me alive. But my sister swore that if I was in another car, she was sure I'd be dead. Not unlike the way the gas giants like Saturn and Jupiter protected planets like Earth from rocks, comets, death. And I could go on and on about my love affair with Saturn, but the real key for astronomers today, when it comes to understanding the Earth's history, is actually in learning about Titan. Because this one moon, one of only 2 moons in the solar system larger than our moon, it is so much like our own Earth in its early history. Get a load of this. Titan is the only other body in this solar system that we know of that has hydraulic cycles. Translation: it has evaporation, condensation, and the all-important precipitation. It rains on Titan, just like Earth. Scientifically, it doesn't matter if that rain's nitrogen versus water. You're missing the point. It's just a weather pattern. It has weather patterns. This moon has weather patterns. Other moons do not. And you may laugh at me when I put an emblem for my Saturn car in my purse as a fashion statement. But maybe my love affair was far more than an American car. Maybe, just maybe, it was for more than that. Maybe it was for the love of the solar system the gas giants that kept our planet alive. And maybe it was for their moon, not so much unlike us. It was all that, with creation in the solar system. How all the pieces seem to fit together so perfectly. We can see our history in Titan, discovered today so long ago. And that alone makes us fall in love again. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, another poem. I have to close it up from the cc&d issue collection book, Unfinished Business. This next poem that I was going to share with you, Unfinished Business, is titled Understanding Terrorism's Intelligence. Too many times these days we see terrorists and not understand it. Recently, we see Al-Qaeda attacks, and when we don't understand, we assume the Islamists must be envious of our wealth, because we only pay attention to what is right in front of us. And we don't realize that our own government is more than happy to fight communism by giving the Mujahideen Islamic fighters money and weapons to fight the Russians. But once they were free, us Americans thought that we could westernize the Middle East, which was the last thing they wanted. Translation, they were fine with taking our money so they could fight, but otherwise they didn't want to be messed with. And boy, high and mighty us, we gave them some money because, boy, did we want a medal. And did this mean that we deserved the terrorist attacks in '93 and '01 and all the mini attacks since and between? Probably not, but when you're really trying to make a point, sometimes the most radical and absurd is in some people's minds the only way to go. Sometimes the prejudice some people face seems to be too overpowering to believe or even comprehend. It still boggles the mind to think that people exist who truly believe their race is all that matters. Their race, really. And if that's not enough, they can also hate some religions and use that ever so seductive violence and murder to get their point across. The scary thing is that terrorism flourished in the United States in 3 different rounds from one group. The Ku Klux Klan gave white men the feeling that they were doing more than merely preserving the only thing that they thought was good, when in actuality it was just isolating them from anything interesting or different in the world. With their solution to their isolation, when it went beyond changing laws to make sure certain people weren't welcome, this narrow vision reduced them to killing innocent people, to thinking that hanging them from a tree helped their message. It's scary to think that this can exist on our own shores, and maybe it comforts us to learn that this latest 3rd round of the Ku Klux Klan is only a sliver of the size it once was here, but it's lurking to catch us once we feel safe. Terrorism scares us because we all believe that we are open and welcoming and willing, and we forget that we only choose to spend our times with those who are like us and who cushion out our narrow beliefs. We may not be terrorists, but in our own way, we choose the same isolation that may actually lead to terror. We think we're above it all. We think we're better than that. And then we look in the mirror and wonder what we really see. That was another poem from the cc&d January to April 2022 issue collection book titled Unfinished Business. Unfinished Business is in this collection book. And it's available from Scars Publications. You can get it at Amazon. You can find it at scars.tv online as well. I'm going to read to you Oh, a little more, why not? I am going to share with you this next poem that's titled Video Killed the Radio Star. Living in rural Pennsylvania years ago, even before the internet or cable TV, he hooked up wires with his old radio so that he could hear signals for WGN and hear Chicago Bears football games. One night when I was little, when I was supposed to be in bed sleeping, I heard on the radio that John Lennon was shot and killed. I knew it before my family read it in the Chicago Tribune the next morning. As I grew up, I loved listening to the radio. I couldn't afford to buy all that vinyl with no allowance, so it was the coolest thing to hear new releases for free, right down to dance mixes on the weekends. After moving to the northwest edges of Chicago proper, I called one of the most popular Chicago AM radio stations because the DJ had art in my lit mag. So we talked poetry on and on the air. Over the years, I've read poetry on the radio. I've been interviewed and have sung songs on radio stations across the country. And sure, since then I've appeared on TV and have sung on YouTube like mad, but still, there's an unending allure to that radio. To have the opportunity for people to judge not on how you present yourself on camera, but hearing your words, hearing the sound of your voice, broadcast, so all could imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I think I might read one more short one with you and call that my reading for today from this book from cc&d magazine, the January to April 2022 issue collection book, Unfinished Business. Dun, 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 dun. And it is a periodic table Twitter-length poem that's actually in a Scars Publications book that was released this year, of a bunch of Twitter-length poems as well. This is called Carbon Copy. I see the plastered model pics of big, blonde, buxom bimbos, vacuous carbon copies, replicas, and this is not what men claim to adore. This carbon-based life form is, underline, not a carbon copy. Our interiors may be the same, but look at the difference of me. I am going to share with you an image that appears in this book as well. Now in the book, it's in black and white, and yes, everybody seeing it on a Facebook live stream is seeing no black and white film filter, so it might not look much different, but if I can put it on video, there is an image of the carbon copy as well. It's in full color. I have to put it over my face. You can't really make it out, but I show it to you here because you guys can check this out online. If you look for carbon copy at scars.tv or from janetkuypers.com, look for the poem, periodic table poem, carbon copy. You can see a larger image of it as well with a bunch of model photos in the background, which is really kind of interesting. So anywho, I wanted to be able to show that picture on the screen for you in color for those of you who can see this video in the color. In the meantime, I am going to close right now on sharing poetry from the January to April 2022 issue collection book from cc&d magazine, scars.tv/ccd, that is titled Unfinished Business. Unfinished business, what? We all have that. And we all have scars, like from Scars Publications. So if you'd like to learn anything about this book, you can find it at scars.tv. You can find it at Amazon. And I hope you enjoyed this one reading. I will share with you more readings, probably from the other literary magazine that's from Scars Publications that is released recently. But I just hope that everybody is, now that things are finally opening up again, everybody is being safe. I hope if you haven't been vaccinated and you can get vaccinated, that you will get vaccinated. And I hope that you remain creatively inclined. And I look forward to hearing from each and every one of you very, very soon. Thank you all so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.